This collaborative project by Lisa Harris, me, and Kimberly Oku-Forrester addresses the usual causes of spectator violence, such as alcohol consumption, crowd dynamics, team identification, and ineffective crowd management, while also exploring recent outbreaks of their typical outcomes for athletes, officials, and sport organizations. The paper concludes by evaluating evidence-based prevention strategies, emphasizing proactive crowd management, organizational responsibility, and intentional cultural messaging as essential components in reducing spectator violence and promoting safe, respectful sport environments. When we talk about spectator violence, it's easy to treat it as isolated incidents, fans losing control, emotions running too high, or a rivalry getting out of hand. But spectator violence doesn't happen randomly. It's shaped by culture, identity, and the way sport environments are structured. My portion of this project focuses on why fan aggression feels normal in American sport and the common factors that trigger it. Understanding that foundation help explain these incidents and why these incidents keep repeating across all levels of sport. In American sport culture, intensity, loyalty, and emotional expression are celebrated. Those values don't just stay on the field, they spill directly into the stands. Over time, aggressive reactions get framed as passion or commitment rather than problematic behavior. Sociologist Jay Coakley explains that sport has normalized certain forms of aggression as symbols of authenticity and dedication. Fans absorb these norms and often believe that emotional outbursts or hostility are simply part of being a real fan. Masculinity plays a significant role in this normalization. Sports like football, hockey, and baseball have long shaped male identity, and stadiums become places where loudness, confrontation, and emotional extremes feel socially acceptable. Sociologist Richard G. describes sport environments as stages where behaviors would be discouraged in everyday life suddenly feel permitted. When rivalry games raise emotional tension, aggression that starts as excitement can escalate quickly. Rivalry and identity further intensify the situation. Fans often see their team as an extension of themselves, and it's tied to family tradition, community pride, or even personal history. Wan's team identification theory shows that highly identified fans experience wins and losses as personal events. In that context, opposing fans become symbolic enemies, and officiating decisions can feel like personal attacks. That emotional investment makes aggressive reactions feel justified rather than excessive. While culture sets the stage, specific triggers often push situations towards violence. Alcohol is the most consistent predictor of spectator aggression. Research shows that increased alcohol availability correlates with higher rates of fan altercations, especially during rivalry games or controversial moments. Alcohol lowers inhibition and intensifies emotional reactions. Crowd dynamics also matter. In large crowds, people feel anonymous. That sense of anonymity reduces accountability and encourages behavior that individuals would typically avoid. Add loud noise, close proximity to other people, and emotional tension, and minor conflicts can escalate rather quickly. Social media now plays a role before fans even arrive. Online trash talk, rivalry memes, and emotionally charged content often carry directly into in-person encounters. Fans don't come to games neutral anymore. They arrive already activated. Poor crowd management can turn tension into violence. Tight concourses, Unclear seating boundaries and limited supervision increase the risk of confrontation. At the high school level, including in Bixby, we've seen firsthand how proactive crowd management changes outcomes. We intentionally separate home and visiting fans. We assign designated seating and entrances and maintain visible staff presence. Those steps reduce unnecessary interaction before conflict ever even starts. These practices align with guidance from the National Federation of State High School Associations. The NFHS emphasizes that crowd management begins long before the event through planning, communication, and collaboration with security personnel. When expectations are clear and supervision is consistent, spectator aggression drops significantly. Crowd behavior is not accidental, it's managed. This foundation helps explain why spectator violence continues across sports settings. Understanding the culture and causes is essential, but it's only part of the picture. In part two, Kimberly Oku-Forrester builds on this by examining real-world outbreaks of spectator violence, their consequences, and the prevention strategies that sport organizations can use to move from reaction to responsibility.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Oku-Forrester. Thank you, Lisa, for that introduction. In the world of violent action at sporting events, crowd fights are as old as spectator sports. Data documenting these events that occur is very scarce and few. Some say the crowd violence today would seem tamed in comparison to most historical events that took place. According to a study by Madsen and Eck in 2008, spectator violence takes on many different forms. They can present as verbal, physical, gesturing, missile throwing, property destruction, and swarming. I have personally witnessed violent spectator altercation outbreaks happen at the Pee Wee Recreational Center, club, and high school levels. The worst outbreak of spectator violence I have personally witnessed was in 2021 at a club soccer tournament. This outbreak started as a fight on the field between players, then escalated between parents when obscenities and taunting were yelled at the kids. This turned from taunting the kids to yelling at each other. Eventually, the on-field fight escalated from player on player to team on team simultaneously as it escalated even further with spectators rushing the field to either help break up or egg on the fight. I had to treat multiple injuries as well as activate emergency services to transport some players and spectators to the hospital. Injuries range from small scrapes and bruises to dislocated joints, fractures, and concussions. As Lisa mentioned before, substance abuse and alcohol are likely at the foundation of the emotional outbursts. However, there are many reasons spectator violence happens. Some fights are over things that may seem trivial, but with the influence of alcohol and other substances, can heighten any given situation and can ultimately result in death. It's sad because those situations are ultimately preventable. Spectator violence not only has a lasting effect on the atmosphere that should be geared toward family enjoyment, but on the mental health and performance of the athletes as well. Survey reports that 88% of them confirm that threats of violence lead to poor performance, and 86% of reports that violence leads to mental health issues. Spectator violence has an effect on the entire industry that runs deeper than just the athletes and the attendees. It can affect the daily operations of staff and employees that many do not consider. This is a considerable amount of turnover due to the duties of venue personnel having to be involved with spectator violence. Staffers may also be asked to perform duties that upset fans. Certain situations only aggravate fans, but can also act as a catalyst for potential fan violence. Prevention of spectator violence is dependent upon the venue, its location, the type of sporting events it hosts, and the demographic of the crowd it'll draw in. Some prevention strategies are creating an access barrier, redesigning stadium features, restricting alcohol sales, removing combative spectators, refusing entrance to those troublemakers or spectators, and establishing a holding place for the spectators who get arrested or refuse to leave the venue. Although these strategies can mitigate many instances that may arise, it is important to acknowledge the training of the staff and the employees. Staff who have not been adequately trained risk causing more harm to the situation. The combination of belligerent spectators and untrained staff attempting to de escalate a situation has the potential to end in with injury. It is of the utmost importance that staff are well trained and the venue meets all safety expectations. In conclusion, spectator violence is not an inevitable feature of sport. There are many social triggers that foster these reactions. When aggression is framed as passion or loyalty, this type of spectator behavior is largely permitted to cross boundaries that would otherwise be unacceptable in other public settings. Alcohol use, crowd dynamics, and ineffective venue management makes aggression feel normalized rather than deviant. Evidence shows that fan aggression affects athlete safety, staff well-being, and the integrity of sport environments. However, if proactive measures are taken, such as crowd management, clear behavior expectations, and intentional cultural messaging, this can significantly reduce violent behavior while preserving the intensity and emotional engagement that makes sports meaningful. Thank you for listening to Foundation and Causes of Spectator Violence in Sport by Lisa Harris and Kimberly Oku-Forrester.